go. So one part I can go ahead and fit is the rack, because I have my parts on the way that I've ordered, and we can put the little retaining screw in there, and it's got a sealing washer on it. I'm looking through my own selection of sealing washers, and fibre, aluminium, copper, all that, I can't get anything to actually fit in there. Even in a small Doughty one, I can't get to fit in there. So there was originally a bit of lead in there, and I've removed it because I'm going to put a bit of liquid metal over that, for the simple reason being that diesel can leak through there and it can start filling up your crankcase, your cam case, whatever you want to call it in here, because there's no crankshaft as such, it's camshaft. But regardless, it can start filling up here and then spilling out everywhere. So that's what I did in the Ferguson behind me there, because that was filling up with diesel as well. So I'll just give it a good clean out with the Dremel and a little tiny wire brush. I have the sealant washer there, but before I do that, I just want to give this a one last polish, because there is little places there that's just the slightest little bit gritty yet and a bit rough, and that will cause it then to have a bit of drag. Any form of sandpaper I wouldn't think would be good to use on this, so just metal polish and polishing pad, and we'll clean out in there as well where the retaining screw goes into, and that limits the travel of the rack over and back. So this way for shutting off your fuel, and this way for maximum fuel for starting, and then when the suction, the vacuum is created, then the engine starts, it'll pull it back into a running position where it can be governed then somewhere around there, and you can kind of feel where it has worn in there a little bit there. You can kind of feel where it was, we were spending most of the time when it was running. So we'll just get this a little bit better, a little bit more polished up, and we'll fit it then. So what we'll do is, as I have just been given in there just a bit of a clean out, we'll get the rack fitted into the vise, even just sit it gently in the jaws of the vise, like so, just barely gripping it, and we'll get the polishing pad on the job here on the Dremel, and we'll get that polished up. I'm going to use an even less aggressive polishing pad. It's very soft, and hoping that that'll be enough just to give this. Now it's just where it's going over and back, it doesn't need to be polished all over, but we'll give it a polish. The thing to avoid doing is to let this pad go dry, because it ends up just throwing a load of fluff all over the place. So yeah, you can. This rack was completely stuck when I got the pump first. And you can see these little kind of dark spots. Now I've nearly got most of them out of it there. If we just get the camera to focus on it, I think I've most of them gone there, but when you focus on one area like there, you focus on it properly, it does seem to get rid of it. left with a nice result. It's taken some of that dull look off it. So you can see there as well, there's some there that probably needs a bit more attention. So we'll do the same thing there. Don't know, this mightn't well be in contact with anything, but still. Another bit there. How are we looking? It's looking a lot better, so there's still just a little bit there. Try and get that out as well. It's just a little bit scratched or worn or whatever. So I'll get the camera just to focus roughly on where it is. Right there. May as well just enjoy working with the material. Doesn't take much now to do the job. Bit more than that probably. May as well spread it out because it only throws it. And it does show up little bits and pieces there that are just going to need another little bit of work, and catch them with your nail. So what we'll do is put it in the vise. I have to put it at an angle now because there's a piece on the end of it there. I have to see where they are, sort of. It's right there. We'll just focus on this now and try and get it as polished as possible, because it will help the governor. It's right there. We'll just see if we can cut it out. Something was causing a bit of corrosion on it, so it's showing up another bit there as well. That's good. We're getting through the layers of corrosion. Losing grip a bit there in the vise. Okay, so we're still just left with a tiny little bit there, and a bit towards the end here as well. So we'll move the camera back because we need to just get this gripped in the vise a little bit better. And of course this thing at the end means we have to hold it at an angle. That's good, snug there. Okay, now let's have a quick look here and see what's happening. So that needs another little bit. We're just going to have to keep going at that. Doesn't take much to catch these. A sticky rack in these is a pain in the arse, and it involves a lot of work to strip them. Okay, so that's a lot better. You can see the shine off that now, so that's not going to go getting caught anywhere, I don't think. A quick look at the other side now on TEF. Let's see if we can improve this at all. Yeah, a little bit dull there. I have driven 20 diesels that have had sticky racks in them, and I tell you, they're a lazy engine. Oops. Okay, now that's looking more like a shiny, a new penny. Is this a yeah, you cannot beat those Dremels. They're not in the slightest bit aggressive. I think it's fair to say that is just ready for fitting now. Simple as that. It's looking good, feeling good. It's like brand new. The beauty of, yes, I'm not using my, I'm not putting on cloths or her. It's aluminium. If you damage it, give it a quick rub of sandpaper and polish it up with the wire, with the Dremel. That's all you gotta do. So we have to obviously make sure that it is, I'm going to lift the camera a little bit, spotless in there for this rack, and a bit of oil in there as well. I have polished up in here with the Dremel as well, the different head on it. So I think what we'll do is, let's bring over the air gun. Give that a quick blowout. Make sure there's nothing in there that shouldn't be in there. Okay. On both ends. That's good. Now we can get our oil can, because I think oil is the best option here rather than grease, only because of drag. So we don't want any drag to be on this whatsoever. So this oil can usually takes a second or two to prime. So let's wait for it. There we go. And the same in the other side there. Just so it's not going in dry. Give it a final wipe. Okay, we're looking good. Give that a quick blowout where the screw goes in. Okay. And these gears here, these teeth I should say, are facing this way here. So a little wiggle. I'll have a feel of it and see if there are any tight patches. Oh god, that's good. That is free. Make sure there's no tight patches all the way around. There's not. Okay. So that is that in. Now we have to put the locating screw in. Right. So now what are we looking for here? We're looking for this screw here, I think. So this is the article here. It's got a very specific sealing washer on it. Now having a brainwave here if I should put Loctite on that or not. It might help stop leakage, possible leakage. Or am I better off? Am I better off putting, I don't know, with a sealant of some kind be better? I've never used Loctite in my life, but I have got some. I don't see why I'd have to take this out again. Okay, so I've got a bit of Loctite on. I don't know that much. I don't know if too much, too little, because I just don't have previous experience of it. So we'll get that sitting there, get ready for tightening. So we'll try and use the best screwdriver fit for it here now. Move everything in a little bit closer. Hoping that this will do the trick. Should be limiting the, yeah it is, it's limiting the travel now. Okay, so I can go for a wider screwdriver there, and if I can I should, because I don't want to go damaging this at all. So the best fit screwdriver is what we need to use. Okay, and make sure that that isn't catching at all. Right, so it's still all nice and free, and we're in nicely. Okay, I don't think I have to take that out again. I'm fairly sure I don't. So the last parts to come out. So I'm going to use the previous screwdriver one more time, because it actually seems to be a nice little fit. Let's give it a last little feel. Now, and we'll turn it 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Now, and that's not all I'm going to do with that, because the bit of lead fell out and I lost it, unless it's in here somewhere. I will put clear kind of epoxy over that, help seal it. It can always be removed if it ever needs to come out again. So that is one thing we can do. Now, another thing we can do is we can fit the filters. So we have these, so we can give these a bit more of a clean up. Okay, so I fitted new circlips on the end of these. Okay, but we'll just see if we can tidy them up just a little bit on the threads and stuff. It's always a good idea to make sure that they go in the full way, otherwise your back filter cover then doesn't sit flush and you'll have a leak. Always just worthwhile. 95% of this work is just cleaning anyway. These marks on it, they're stamping some kind, so that should be good enough for that one there. So we'll get the other one and give it the same treatment. Just making sure there's no big heavy dirt on it. That will stop it screwing in fully flush. Same thing here. I might just do this a little different way here, just to speed things up a little bit. Okay, so that's that and that's that. So we're ready for the pump again. Okay, now if I remember correctly, these were a strange size, somewhere between 13mm and a ½ inch. So we'll put them in so we can get the circlip off them. We'll be able to fit some form of a socket in there. Always good idea to tighten these in first by hand, get a feel of the threads, make sure that nothing is stopping them going in, and they are flush, so we're good to go there. We've got our circlip pliers here. Okay. Lovely. Leave that one on the pliers. Okay. A last little clean up just around that groove, because it's important that that circlip doesn't come off. Yeah. Quick blow out in here. Right, so need to get other parts up now. So we have this rubber lad here. It's in excellent condition. Considering, I suppose if it was a petrol pump, it mightn't be in as good condition. Just thinking now, is this a good idea going fitting these filters if I want to put something else on that? Don't know. There's still a little bit more cleaning to do on these. So maybe that's a job for the Dremel and the metal polish, I'm thinking maybe. There's no one to use anything abrasive on them. That's only going to make matters worse. It's harder for dirt to stick to a smooth surface than it is to stick to a rough surface. Well, we can close up this. As I said, I'm not sure if that was too much or too little. That's why I'm going to go with the epoxy as well. Clear epoxy over to make sure that that is not leaking. And these parts will wear the polishing pad something fierce, because it's like a grater basically, cheese grater. Yeah, that's probably okay. It's more so tarnished than dirt. Yeah, I'm just trying to think now, what would you do? If I'm thinking of putting on clear epoxy, it's probably not the best time to be covering this all up. I'll just get a look at the torch there and see, does it look like it could be sealed or not? It does look like it could be sealed. That's something I'm going to have to return to, I think. I don't want to use JB Weld around that, just a bit of clear epoxy, chemical metal I think it's called. You can always chip it off. It's not that strong, but it'll be perfect for that. And then we put a rubber lad over, like so. And we then go with one of these. I have new filters here. I think that's all it is. I think that goes on like that. There is no washer that I'm aware of. And the second one, I'm trying to think, I did this not too long ago, yeah. Second one goes on like so, and you put your circlip. Then obviously you have to fit your filter. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to do it the right way. Because if this ends up leaking into the bottom here through the rack, into the rack, I have to go. All I have to do is take off this, but it does involve taking out the pump, it does involve having to spill time and all that. So I leave that on there, it's no harm. No, I think I'm going to do it right way. Get some chemical metal and yeah, it's more so just tarnished rather than dirty. I think that's what I'll do. I'll get some of that tomorrow, and we'll do it the right way. At least we should be good to go. Now, yes, the Loctite should be good enough to seal that, but I don't want to take the chance. Those circlips that I got, I think are good. It's not going to let that off, no. They are a strange size as well. Okay, so what I will do, since I thought I'd be doing a bit more in this video, I'll just quickly get the new filter and we'll give you a look at that. Okay, so the original filters were actually 2-piece, and the new ones are 1-piece. So they're twice as thick, so you don't need the two of them. So this is what the originals would have been like, and the new ones, Sparco diesel. If you're looking for them, that's them there, equivalent to, and then you can see they're not cheap. I think they're €10 for each filter, which is not exactly cheap considering all they are. It's just a little bit of gauze. The ones that are in it don't look that bad at all, but I wouldn't go using them again. So let's quickly show you here with the old ones, since I'm not going to take the new ones out of the package just yet. No, I think they went something like that, the old ones, and then you fitted the outside one in then as well, like so. You push that in, and you got your circlip. And that's the way it looked. But the new ones are better and more improved because dirt can't get down between them because they're single. So that's basically the way it is. It looks nice and shiny there. I'm not going to open up the new filters until I have to, obviously. And then you get these two. Why they didn't go with a bolt head on these, I do not know. These screw in there, and these are notoriously hard to tighten up and to seal, and you'll always, well, I've nearly every time I've noticed I had to take off the pump again and do another job on it. Doesn't matter which way this is, there's no top or bottom to it, but you do have to make sure that these are tightened in fully first, because if they're not, when you tighten this down here, it won't actually pull it in enough. So you do have to make sure that that's all A1 first. But anyway, we will be taking all this apart again, obviously, because we want to do a job inside there first. That's basically the way it is. Something like that, and you tighten them up and it starts to look like a diesel pump from the back. So that's basically where I'm going to have to leave it for this evening, because I'm going to have to pick up a bit of that epoxy But yeah, that's where we'll leave it. I'm sure we'll come back then when we have a little bit more to show you. So since we've come to a bit of a dead end till we get a bit more stuff to finish a bit of a job on the diesel pump, this is a Lucas dynamo that I had on the shelf, and over the past few evens I've actually stripped it, and for the first time ever I fitted a new bearing. Now I didn't record it for the simple reason being, well, I had recorded all the work and then I thought it wasn't working, but I had connected it up wrong here, and it wasn't showing any charge. So yes, there's two tests you can do. You can put your earth onto the field coil that is connected to earth, as you can see that's where it's connected there, or you can connect it to that, just to the chassis, to the body, which is earth as well. But yeah, one of the big things I said I did was I fitted a new bearing. Now I had to tap out the old rivets, and I fitted long screw bolts into them in their place, and I was just about to give up hope, and I was looking at a video on YouTube, and this is I suppose you could say the main reason why I do these videos myself. If they help other people, well, that's good. So what I'm going to show you here is there should be in around about 2 volts when I put the drill on impact on the dynamo here to turn it, right? I'm just turning it by hand here, and you can see there's a small little volt. Now, dynamos need a bit of power first to power up the field coils. So obviously we don't have that here unless we got a battery and started, you know, using that to power them. But there's tests you can do. So the first test you can do is just hitch it up as so, or you can connect that to the field coil, doesn't matter, it's the same result. And when we turn it fairly fast, we'll see that there's some form of charge coming out of it. Okay, now what they were saying to do on the videos is then to go and connect up your D and your F, so cross them, and this will help the power that's been created from the dynamo to charge up the field coil. And now we're going to see what happens. This is obviously going to be unregulated because there's no regulator wired in. You can see there's definitely a charge coming through that. It's showing negative there at the moment, but I'm not worried about that. That's like a minus figure. I think that's a minus, is it? It would have to be polarized, obviously. So as you can see, once you connect up your D and F terminals, you get a big charge. So it actually looks like, and I was reluctant in putting it away, but it looks like this actually could be working. It's not turning like a motor when I put power to it. That's why I said, you know, this is just scrap, unfortunately. Thought it was yet another commutator gone, but when you turn it, it seems to work. So we have a very good candidate here. Consider that's a new dynamo that was put on a couple of years ago, and I want to get it all back to Lucas. We have a good candidate here for fitting, so I'm very happy with that. I think it's looking good, as much as, yes, when you hitch up a battery to it, it doesn't do that but just go like this rather than turn like a motor. So I'm just going to throw that in at the end of this video, just like I did on the other evening when I showed a few of the brackets that I fitted to the 20 diesel. I suppose I did that just, I suppose it can be a bit boring looking at the same old part up on the shelf or on the workbench, so that's why I did that. I think I did fit actually another little interesting bracket on this somewhere. I meant to show it in yesterday's video, but I cannot think of where the bloody thing was. If I could quickly find out where it was or remember, I would show you again. Oh yeah. So I'm just loosely after fitting this as well here. So that's another original bracket there. You can see it going around the battery cable. I had this bit of rubber on it just to stop it rubbing. I mean, that's positive power, full battery power, so you can imagine what happens if it rubs on one of them. Wouldn't be good. So I just have to do a little bit more playing with that just maybe to get it, it's fairly soft anyway, to get it up and off that part there. That's for the starting motor. And if you look at the very end, it isn't hitched up because this tractor came with a key switch. That is something I want to address in the future, but that was just another little little bracket that I saw on a tractor at a show, and I said, you know what, I have one of them, so I just give it a bit more of a pinch around there and get it sitting right. But slowly but surely we're piecing it back together to the tractor it should be and was at some point. But over the years, people doing work, taking off parts, not putting back on these brackets. So we're going to finish with a good news story. This looks like it's working very well. It's got the old school bolt-on connections, just like what I want. And all of the wires that I've used in this are all genuine Ferguson 20 wires from a late 1940s petrol Ferguson 20. And I can tell you this, I've probably mentioned it before, the quality of the wire in them is like nothing you're going to get ever again. It's a really hard plasticky kind of a cover on them as well. It's not rubber at all, like very hard to damage that, and it was covered in a kind of a braided cloth as well. But the actual quality of the metal in the wires, they're heavy, they're strong, ideal for this kind of work, or if you're tipping it off a battery thermal or whatever. It just doesn't seem to get hot at all. It's savage quality. So that'll be another little video down the road, putting this on the Ferguson 20 diesel. There is already a video when I was working on this dynamo here that I did the same kind of job on, and as you can see it's original Lucas, but unfortunately the voltage regulator was set to push out too much charge in this tractor. And the reason why, two reasons. The pulley was too worn on the tractor at the time, and it had too narrow fan belt, and it was actually slipping. And because it was narrow, I couldn't get any more adjustment on this. It was right out to the end and it was slipping. So what did I do? Only think my voltage regulator wasn't working enough. I wasn't getting enough of it movement in the needle here, so I turned it up. And then I went and I changed fan belt to the proper thick one, and it got a good grip. And all of a sudden it was, my father brought to a local show, and it was going right up towards, I hate to say it, nearly 30 amps on high revs. It's only meant for 11 amps. So I'd say it melted the commutator, because when I took it apart there was bits of solder splattered around the side. So lesson learned, pulley and fan belt have to be right, lined up, and the right thickness of fan belt. You do that, then you work back towards your electrics. So I learned that lesson. Unfortunately it involved burning that out, but that can be used for parts again. So at least with this one, when I go testing it, I know that I have the right fan belt, and we'll check out which pulley is better, that one or the one that's on the tractor. And whatever one is best will be put on that. We'll give that a test then. So I've since turned down the voltage. When I actually put the voltmeter on the battery to see what it was charging at, it was throwing out, what was it throwing out? 17 volts. Savage amount of volts. So I turned it down to about 13.8, 14 max. So there you go. We're going to end on that for this evening. Nothing to do with the diesel pump, but just something I was working on the side as we're waiting for parts for the gold belly there that are getting boxed up for that. So these are a few other little side kind of jobs. So look, we will catch you at the next video, and if there's anything interesting going on, I'll make sure to record it. I was having a look through the camera and I found a little bit of footage of me just putting this back together, and the rest of the videos of me actually overhauling it from a rusty, seized dynamo to complete and all of that were lost. So I'm just going to throw that bit of footage in at the end of this video, just as it might be of interest, and we're going to leave that then for this evening's video, and hopefully come back tomorrow and the parts for the diesel pump will have arrived and we can start maybe looking into assembling again. What needs to be done is the Woodruff key, And there we go, that has to go into the keyway here. So just give the small little hammer, tap him in so that we can, we don't really need to do this to be honest, but I put them in at a little angle. It makes it easier to fit your pulley. We'll see, does that go in handy? If it doesn't, we'll just do a bit of cleaning up. It does, yeah. There we go. That's just going to give us a stand, basically. So all of this was shot blasted. I clear coated it with lacquer the front of the aluminium pieces, so that feels good. So we have the little dimple there as well. All of that is cleaned back so that this will sit nice and snug on it, and it'll reduce the amount of end play then as well. So let it drop down. Okay, so that is good. So now we want to get a pick just to pull back our brushes, dynamo brushes. I'm just going to put over a stool here as well. Now, so this is an oil light bushing, so you're not really meant to, normally what I'd like to do is put in the likes of my graphite grease. You're not really meant to. An oil light bushing is soaked in oil and it slowly allows it out the warmer it gets, so I don't want to go messing with that. So I think all I'm going to do, have to be very careful with this because it's only meant to get a tiny amount. I'm just going to put a little bit on the very top because it'll make its way down. I don't want this getting on brushes and I don't want it getting on anything like that. That's going to be electrical. So we took off all of the connections there where the brush is attached to that little bracket there. It's all shot blasted, polished up with the wire out the sandpaper. So our field coil goes through here, and we have to be careful because we don't want this earthing, I don't think. So it did come with a little bit of braided kind of insulator there. It's not exactly great. I might just look for a bit of rubber heat shrink. I think might be a better option for that. Yes, you can loosen that and tap this over and back so it's not connected, not contacting the end plate, but at the same time, yeah, I think that's what we'll go for there. So we'll just cut that, get a measurement there and cut that off. This is not actually heat shrink, it's a bit of insulator that I got, so we'll just take our measurement there roughly. We'll do it nice and neat. Okay, it'll be interesting to see does this work. I know I've gone ahead and painted everything and all, but I'm fairly confident it will work. The commutator's in good nick. That's a lovely snug fit, that now. If it's too long, we'll just cut a bit more off it, but I think it is a little bit too long, isn't it? It's just it wasn't cut level on one side. By God, it's a good snug fit though. So that will definitely do. We'll just take a little bit off that. We'll just straighten up the cut. Put the best edge out, the best side out. No. Paint is just a little bit of paint on it there, so it's a little bit sticky. Now, I think that's nice and neat. That's why it's great to always keep these little bits of rubber insulators. So that's good. So now we've got to have these pulled back out of the way. I'm going to lift the camera a little bit. Okay, a little bit fiddly with this. So your field coil goes in there. So we'll turn this around. What I'll do is I'll drop the camera a little bit so we can see a bit better what's going on. This can often be a very quick job, or it can often take a little bit longer than you would prefer, but as I always say, it's not, at least not a start motor with four brushes on them. So push one back. Sometimes they don't go in straight and they don't want to go back at all. Like this one has actually come out, so up, line them up roughly. Maybe if we get a bit of a pull back on it there first. Let's get the field coil connection. There we are, we're not too far off there. There we go, that was one of the easiest ones. And your little dimple then lines up in there. Okay, and our insulator there is doing what I want, it's just nice and thick. Okay, that's after. Please get the usual treatment, clean up with the threads. What we do is put a little bit of graphite grease on them there. Keep them right in case it has to come back apart sometime. We don't know is it working now, being honest. It's nice to have these few parts in stock that you can do a bit of work on when you're with a bit of spare time. Okay, not too bad. So we get a screwdriver and run that in. And we might just do a quick test on it and see is it turning like a motor, and if it turns like a motor when it's fed with power, we know we've done something right. Definitely feels good, and those brushes feel like they're making good contact with the commutator. This thing was completely seized when I got it. Okay, that's gone very tight. So we'll loosen the other one off and see what's going on. It feels like it's definitely going down into the right place. These are only aluminium threads at the end of the day, so you do have to be careful. So what we'll do is just, if one's giving bother, take the other one up altogether. Or very close to loose. And then you might just need to move things over and back a little bit to get them started. Getting tight there again, and hopefully there isn't bad threads in this. There wasn't when I took it off anyway. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll swap these. See does that make any difference. It's a bit tight coming out there, that's no harm. Usually when you get them started at all, they're grand. This one now seems to be gripping a lot better, I think, if we're in the right place at all. We seem to be. It'll be interesting to see where this one going. It's nearly like one of them was longer than the other. And there you go. So far so good. It feels perfect. It's the beauty of them aluminium alloys. They just don't seem to corrode. Yo. Oh, that is perfect. Yeah, you can hear it from this A1. So that is it. I can go ahead and oil it if I want, but to be honest with you, I would prefer to make sure it's working. But to oil it, what you do is you take out that bit. I presume you leave this in, and you'd wet this wick here. Presume. That would slowly make its way down, I think. Something like that, I would imagine. Anyway, we don't have to be too worried about the lubrication of it yet. We're more worried about is it actually working. So it's actually one of my best overhauls yet. It was not looking good. Everything was like, this is the bracket that came off, everything was like seized and really bad nick. So like there was one of the bolts going through the bracket, so you can get an idea of the rust that was on it. The only saving grace was this was done up by a company, and you could actually see there the date that was done up and all as well. So it did get work done to here, and it got a new bearing at that point, but it was still very bad. So yeah, took the number of that bearing and got a new one. There's just a nice little bit of resistance when you're turning. You can hear everything sounds good. You can feel those brushes rubbing the commutator. So I think the best thing to do with that is to bring over a battery, hook it up, and see does it turn like a motor.